Hello my friends on YouTube. There's not so much happening in the news to try to dissect it and try to see what's going on. Therefore, I prepared a subject about Muslim religion, and I hope I can explain it well. Before we start, I received a video trying to justify the existence of the religion of Islam. As usual, the Muslims, they feel something lacking, and therefore they try to look for something here or there to justify the existence of Islam that's a legitimate religion. And let me explain it this way. If I am, let's say, a good writer or a good lawyer or a good doctor, I really do not need to go around telling people how good I am, how wonderful of a doctor I am, or a lawyer, or whatever work I do. Other people, not just other people, my work will speak for me. My work will say, who am I? I don't need to say anything about myself to praise myself. And that is the problem that the Muslim really fall, well, they won't justify their existence because they really have nothing to speak of. So that video is, again, is trying to show that Islam is a legitimate religion. Anyway, next week I'm going to speak about this, but today I'm going to speak about a subject I gave it the title is the expiration date of Islam. And by saying the expiration date, I do not mean that at certain time in human history Islam was actually valid or good religion to speak of. Islam was spoiled from the moment of conception, before birth. So, but even if it was good, even if it had good in it, that good has already expired. And that's what I would like to speak about today. The expiration date of Islam. Let's start. Islam, Muslim, they say Islam is a religion that it is good for all times and all places. That means it's good for the past, it's good for the present, and it's good for the future. So we're going to examine this from a practical and logical point of view and see what do they mean. And we see if this is really the case. Because you cannot say that you are a good doctor and practically every operation you have performed, the patient died. You cannot say you are a good engineer and all of your inventions are failures. Okay? Your words and your deed, they don't match. So we're going to examine that. Let's start. Quran. I'm sorry today because I really don't like to waste my time memorizing Quran like many people do or did. I was never interested in it, and therefore I didn't pay much attention to memorize it. And this normally happens when you're a child. And since I was a child, I really didn't see need for that. But I also didn't think that one day I will be making videos to explain to people about the nonsense in Quran. So please bear with me. Sometimes I will look in my notes. So they say that Islam is good for all time and all places. Okay, let's examine that. Nowadays, there are many things in Quran, many, that became obsolete. Nobody is using anymore, such as the punishment, the physical punishment of like chopping the hand off of the person, the thief. The punishment of a thief is to chop his hand off. The whipping of the person who commits fornication or adultery, man and woman, but specifically woman, in public places, so that the good Muslim will watch. Things like I spoke about that, the bribe, giving bribe to the influential people. This is not happening anymore. The jizya is the jizya practically is practiced by two types of people: the mafia and the Muslims. Okay, we know especially in Italy, in Rome, Sicily, also in America, in Queens, Manhattan, Brooklyn, areas in New York, the mafia will take fees. And even Russia, China, the mafia is a very powerful tool. So they go, let's say, to a store owner and they will tell him, we have to protect you. So you have to give us, let's say, $1,000 every month to protect you. And if he doesn't pay, they will destroy his store or kill him and rob the store. Okay? And that's basically was the jizya. The Muslim will come to the Christian and the Jews. The rest, the jizya is only on the Christian and the Jews. If you are Buddhist, Hindu, atheist, whatever, any other religion, or if you don't believe in God, you don't have that option. For the Christian and the Jews, either convert to Islam or pay jizya, meaning high taxes. High taxes. It's not taxes really, is like exactly like what I don't know how you call it. The mafia force business owners to pay certain amount of money every month, or they will destroy their business and probably kill them. That is the jizya. Okay, that's in the Quran. But because Muslims now, they are weak, retarded, they cannot apply this anymore. Okay, so, and how do you call the other one? The conquering. I forgot the word in English. I'm sorry. I was making the video in Arabic now. Okay, the women are taken as captive in war. Forgot what's the word for that. Okay, captive women don't have any right, so you can buy them, sell them, trade them, use them in any way you want. Okay, and Muslims cannot do that anymore. It's not that they don't want, they would love to do it, but they don't have the upper hand anymore. So we see that certain things like jizya, like prisoner of war, also men, when they captured young men, they would actually sell them or trade them or use them as slaves. They will have them castrated and use them as servants. Okay? We don't see that anymore. So if Islam was good for all times and good for all places, okay, go to Europe. Well, actually, they are doing that now. They want to bring that into Europe, which they are succeeding in many countries. Germany, Sweden, France, Britain. Yeah, okay. And we can see how violent they become when they start to gather a bigger number. You can see videos on YouTube how they actually go and attack people, and they become violent because they have number. That's exactly what Muhammad did. However, for a long time that was not practiced. Now with the petrodollar money, I hope President Trump really put a squeeze on the on OPEC, the oil producing country, from using their dollar, using their money to commit such atrocity. Okay, so we don't see people giving bribe to influential people to make them, well, they give money, actually still practiced, not as much. They give bribe to the fake news. Believe it or not, the news agency are bought by petrodollar money, and they are not allowed to report certain things objectively when it involves terrorism. They don't mention that they are coming from North Africa. They are not. They don't mention that they are from Muslim background. They say just a person attacked or used a bomb and exploded in a restaurant or in a nightclub or what have you. They are not allowed to say he is from Tunisia, he is from Morocco, he was influenced by Muslim ideology, he was a jihadist. They are not allowed to say that. Why? The petrodollar is at work. That's happening in Europe, by the way. So we can see that many things that it is no longer valid. By the way, the United Nations in 1964 signed an agreement that no more that human will buy and sell human. Until 1964, there were slave markets in many countries. And 2,000-3,000 years ago, all countries, everybody had slaves. It was common that you raid your neighboring country, kill the men, take the women, and you will have few wives and many the word is concubines. I'm sorry, concubines. The people that you capture, the women that you capture in war. I was looking for that word, concubines. So all empires, and from Egypt had the wealthy people had concubines. The Rome had concubines. Greece, uh, all these ancient empires, Persia, man will have few wives, 10, 15, 20 wives, and few concubines, if he's a wealthy man or if he's a warrior. So The problem is Muhammad took that and made it part of their religion. This was practiced also in Arabia before the coming of Islam, before the coming of Muhammad. It was normal for a wealthy merchant to buy 10, 15 concubines, and he would have 6, 7 wives, or 10. But it was not religion. It was not something religious. It was tradition. And it was tradition in many countries. The problem when Muhammad came and made it, put religious holiness to it. How are you, if it was only tradition like it was in many countries, it faded away. In Persia now you don't find concubines, you don't find slaves. In Europe there is no more concubines, there is no slaves. In Egypt, in America, there was also slaves. I'm not sure about concubines, but anyway, I don't think there was concubines. But yeah, there was slavery. So slavery was common until actually the United Nations was, the whole world was thinking to stop that. And right after the establishment of the United Nations in 1948, the countries of the world, they got together and they thought to make a draft to stop buying and selling slaves in 1948. And most countries voted to stop buying and selling human beings. Saudi Arabia withheld the vote. Didn't say yes or no. Why? Because it's part of their religion, part of the Islamic religion to have concubines. There are Islamic sources, there are Quranic verses that allows that. So if they actually participate, they are saying practically Quran is no longer valid. However, in the signing 1964, Saudi Arabia signed. All the Muslim countries who used to have slavery signed. Until 1964, they had public squares for slaves to buy and sell slaves. That's not long ago, actually. It's not so much, it's not very long ago. Until 1964, they had markets. Now, Saudi Arabia still has slave market, but secretly, underground. And if you Google it, Mauritania is #1 country selling women to Saudi Arabia, but also young boys. And some of them actually stolen from their families. And these boys are used in Saudi Arabia. They don't talk so much about it, but you can Google it. The camel racing, you have horse racing in many Western countries, but also they have that in the Muslim countries, but they also have camel racing. And the best to control camel and not have so much weight on the camel so that the camel will run freely is to have a child controlling the camel. And no Saudi man wants to put his child at risk, because if the child falls off the camel while it is running from that height and on that speed, he could get killed. Alright? So what they do is they import boys from other countries, steal them or import them, like from Mauritania, also Yemen. Still not as much as Mauritania, but also they sell their women for slavery in Saudi Arabia. But legally, if you are caught, you can be prosecuted. Okay? And it is dying. I cannot say it's as much as 1970, let's say. It's dying. But there are, if you Google it, there are videos on YouTube with these women on airplane, don't know, never seen airplane before, and they are going to Saudi Arabia. You will see there are many videos about that. I'm not sure if it's in some in English, but I am very sure that there are some in Arabic. I think some in English too. Yeah, there is a documentary in English. Okay, the Quranic verses. Just before we speak about the Quranic verses, the average young man, Muslim young man, when he get charged by the Muslim clerks that we are oppressed by the West, by the Christian, by the Jews. The Jews are controlling the world, and the Christian are oppressing us, and they see that they are really most Islamic countries are retarded in the bottom. Some have some money, but still in the bottom because of oil, but they are still in the bottom. Okay? The young man, he sees the situation and he sees that there is no hope except jihad. So they get attracted to ISIS, to Al-Qaeda, to Boko Haram, to Al-Nusra, all these Islamic, and I don't call them really terrorist group, they are pure Muslim. They are pure Islamic groups. They follow the teaching of Muhammad. I don't call them the terrorists. If they are terrorists, then Muhammad was the terrorist, which is true. Okay. The Quranic verses, I'm going to try to translate. Okay. Chapter 9. Surah 9, chapter 29. Section 9 in the Quran, chapter 29, subtitle. Okay. It's a command from Allah to Muhammad. You may find it written fight, but actually, yes, it's true. It has to be translated like that, but fight with the intention to kill. Fight, not to kill, actually fight with the intention to murder. Okay? Those who do not believe in Allah or the last days, and they do not forbid what Allah forbids and His Messenger forbids, and they do not take the Islamic religion as the true religion. Those are the people of the book. That means the Christian and the Jews. Fight them, fight to kill them. Okay? Unless they pay jizya. This is, we spoke just a while ago about, pay the jizya, meaning pay to the mafia, pay for protection, so that we do not hurt you, we do not kill you, and we do not rob your business. Pay the jizya. And you don't just pay it as taxes, no, you pay it while you are on your knees. It doesn't say knees, but it's like the expression, you pay it while in humility, bowing your head to your master. Okay? Nowadays, you don't see any Jewish man, Jewish person, man or woman, or Christian person who has a business and has to go to the Muslim leader of the city or the town and offer the jizya while he is humiliated. Why? Because practically Muslim people and Islam, you are third country mentally and economically and in each and every way, academically too, retarded. So we cannot apply that anymore. Also, the chapter 9 in the Quran, I really suggest for every person to study this. It is, even though the translation, they try as much as they could to soften the language. If you read it if you read it carefully, chapter 9, this is one of the last part that Muhammad spoke before his death of what Islam is. And if you read it, actually Dante, the Divine Comedy, the book of Dante, Divine Comedy, he wrote it after he read Quran, because there is graphic material, especially in this chapter, of torture and how people are screaming and people are butchered. It is graphic situation that if you are a writer, you can really write books, horror books about that. Anyway, chapter 9, part 60. Hard to translate, but anyway, the money that it is taken as taxes from Muslims, okay, it's called zakat. The zakat, that's, you go to the mosque and donation, in a way, donation. The donation that it is given can be used for the poor, which I don't mind at all, the needy, and those who are working in the field. I don't mind any of that. But also part, it says, for the holy bride, for the holy bride, meaning you can, if you have an atheist or Christian or Jewish leader who is very strong and powerful, and you want to win him over to Islam, make him a Muslim, you can give him a couple of millions, it's okay. A couple of billions, whatever, it depends on his position. If he's like Trump, try to give him 10, 20 billion dollars and get him to be a Muslim. That's called the holy bribe, and it is actually Muhammad practiced that. Okay, but nobody does that, and if they do it secretly, because the second caliphate, the second person after Muhammad, he forbid the use of this practice. So Muhammad allows it, another person of his disciples stopped it. If Quran and Islam is good for all time and everywhere, why do you stop something if it's good? Anyway, one more time, the same chapter 9, part 33. The just thing to do to the people who are against Allah and His Prophet. Those people are walking like doing mischief in the land, and therefore they deserve to be killed, crucified, and cut their hands and their hand and feet, the hand and the foot, I'm sorry, the hand and the foot, opposite side. That means if you cut the right hand, you should chop, if you chop the right hand, you should chop the left foot, and crucified. Or banish them from the earth. This because they didn't accept Allah and His Messenger, and they will see After all that, they will see terrible pain in the hereafter. Okay, the same chapter. No, I'm sorry. Another one, but it is as graphic. It is chapter 5, part 38. Part 38. You can go and look at it in the Quran. The thief man and the thief woman chop their hands off, and Allah is a merciful Allah and all-knowing. Anyway, whipping. Chapter 24, the second verse. The adulteress, starting with the woman, the adulteress and the adulterer, both to be whipped 100 times in public place, and don't have mercy on them, and a group of Muslims have to watch them tortured. Do Muslims do that now? No. Why? Because it's a barbaric practice. It's a barbaric practice. Yet they say Islam is for all time and for all places. Why you don't keep that practice up? Why? We spoke about the concubines that Islam allows and encouraged to have concubines. That means you have to invade other countries and kill the men and take the women as concubines. How will you get concubines? You have to get rid of the men, kill them. This is funny. This is the 4th chapter, verse 3. If you feel that you are not going to be just to all women, then marry only one. However, you can marry 1, 2, 3, or 4, up to 4. Marriage. And if you feel that your heart will be more in love with one of them than the other, then keep only one. You have to be just. However, if you feel that you are up to more sex, then buy concubines. Not 1, not 2. You can buy 10. You can buy 1 or 2, of course, but you can buy also 20. You can buy 100. You can buy 1,000,000, 10 millions. There is no limit on concubines. This is the Prophet of Allah. Okay. Chapter 9. This is the most terrible part. Please study this chapter 9 of Quran. The holy months. There were 4 months in Muslim calendar, or in Arabian calendar rather, that people don't fight. Even if you have a dispute with your neighbor, you refrain from fighting in these 4 months. Muhammad took these 4 months and he kept them, but he told them, okay, you don't need to fight in these four months. However, once these 4 months are over, look for the mushrikeen. Mushrikeen here means the people who do not believe in Muhammad, the non-believer. Look for them wherever you find them. Gather them and like take them and kill them. However, if they follow you, then forgive them and everything is okay. Meaning, you become Muslim by force. Try to apply that any Muslim country. Try to apply that to any other country, regardless of how small it might be. Because they cannot really come to China or to America or any European country and say that, let's say Saudi Arabia wants to establish Sharia Islam in let's say Belgium, in Europe. They will tell them get lost. Practically get lost. Okay? So if Quran is good for all time and for all places, why you don't apply that? Because if it was good, people will come to you and you will be strong. But you are weak because you are following a weak practice and a weak ideology. Nobody's interested in it. And if you look at it and study it carefully, you will not be interested in it either. So we can see here that Muslims have put this nonsense aside. And I'm calling nonsense, and this is really, it's more than nonsense, but let's go with nonsense. Muslims themselves put this nonsense aside. However, many people still, like those who go to join ISIS and join Al-Qaeda and join all these Muslim groups, they have the hope that Muhammad gave them that one day you will become an empire, caliphate. Okay, and they thought for a while. Now that is dying, especially with the young man in the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, bin Salman. I think he came to the realization that this is nonsense and it will never happen. And therefore, he set it aside and he's changing the country, modernizing the country. He's trying to actually build a resort for tourists by the Red Sea so that people can swim. And when you have tourists, they are not going to tell them wear burqa and wear long sleeve dress and go and swim with that. Many people will go swim with the swimming suit. That's how you swim. You swim with a swimming suit. You don't put 3-piece suit, necktie, and go and swim. And the same for the woman. She's not going to wear a nightgown and go swimming. You wear a swimming suit. So this is a step. Why? Why is he taking these steps? Putting movie theaters and opera theater, and he allowed women to drive. He allowed women to go to the sporting arena. He allowed women to do so many things. Because he knows this is nonsense. He knows, but he cannot say it out loud like me. Because he has his position. They will kill him. He doesn't want to die. He wants to continue. And I don't think they can kill me, because if they won't kill me, there are many people are talking. When Salman Rushdie, I think it was 1988, I'm not sure, he wrote that book, Satanic Verses. And Ayatollah Khomeini, I think he put $25 million on his head, and the guy had to go into hiding because he criticized Islam. Back then, there was no internet. And that book, it was a huge thing. A huge thing that upset so many Muslims. But now with the internet, anybody with a laptop, you buy a laptop for $20 or something, and a microphone for 50 cents, and you can go out and speak. There are millions of people now speaking. Can't kill them all. Face the music. Face reality. Islam is dead. Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments, and we hope to hear from you and share the video. Thank you. See you soon.